Hey, this is Waylon from Swiftwood Bows, and I want to show you how I make my strings for my bows today. I use the Flemish twist method, and I'm sure there's a lot of videos out there already showing this technique, but here's another one. I hope it's helpful. Let's see. So I want to talk first about all the materials that I need to do it. So I use a string jig that I have laid out here according to a particular plan with nails, and I'll give you a closer look at that in just a minute. And I have some beeswax on hand to wax the string, and a pocket knife. And then last I'll talk about the string material that I use. So I use Dynaflight D97, and it is a fast flight type material, and that's made out of Dyneema, and it's really low stretch, low creep, and it's really durable, and I really like how it works. It's great. There's a lot of guys that swear by B50, and I'm just not a fan. It's has a lot of stretch. You lose speed from your bow, and I don't know, I can just feel a big difference, and I'd much rather spend a little bit of extra money to use either Fastflight Plus or D97. But everything that I'm showing you here is largely applicable to using B50 if that's your choice too. You might have a slightly different strand count, but otherwise all the technique is going to be the same, and I won't hold it against you. So let's take a look here at my string jig, and I'll show you what I'm working with. So here we've got a series of nails, 2 rows, and the purpose of these nails is to create a staggering of the ends of the string, so that when we twist it together, that the loop twists in smoothly and there's not just kind of a clump of ends all in one place. I'm sorry. And then down here, I don't know how well you can see these numbers, but those numbers represent the length of the bow from knock to knock that I'm going to be making a string for. So the particular bow that I'm making a string for, it's kind of in between 66 and 68 inches. I'm going to make it 66. I borrowed a string from another 66-inch bow, and that seemed to work pretty well. You need the string to be long enough, obviously, but I've found that if you err on having your string too long, you end up twisting it up too much. There's more mass in the string. There's more stretch, just from the mechanical nature of the twist, stretching out. So I'm going to err on the 66-inch side for this bow. So I'll put the camera close so you can see how I'm creating the 2 bundles of string material here. So let me adjust my camera and we'll get started. Time to break open a new roll. Okay, to start with, I'm going to tie off one of the ends here, and I like to tie it so that there is a bit of string sticking off, and you'll see why later. I cut that off and use it during the process. So just tie a simple knot there, and now I'm going to wrap around to this other side, and I'm going to come all the way down to this peg here, and then I'm going to come up to where it says 66 inches for this bow. I'm going to come back to this peg, and then all the way back up here, but I'm going to just go to the next set of pegs here, and then I'm going to repeat. So pretty much all of my hunting weight bows, I use I make 12 strand strings, which means each bundle is going to have 6 strands. And honestly, from the standpoint of the integrity of the material, it's kind of overkill. I could make a perfectly safe string from less strands, but I like it gives me just about the right thickness, so that when I put on one layer of serving, that it's just about right for my knocks. So the way that I keep track is I ignore this first piece here, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need one more strand. So just see how I'm going to the next set of nails each time. And always back to 66. Okay, so I've got my 6 strands here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut right down the middle of this line all the way through all 7 of these pieces. And I like to grab it right here. This is going to be the middle of the string. I want to keep them all right at their lengths that they're at. And now I'm just going to take a minute to wax the whole bundle. So this string material already comes pre-waxed, but I like to add more. The wax helps to minimize the internal friction in your string, the strands rubbing against each other and fraying, and it also just gives a protective barrier to your string to keep it from getting frayed easily. And this string material is pretty tough stuff, and if you take care of it, it'll last a long time. Okay, so I'm just going to set this bundle aside, and I'm going to make another bundle exactly the same. Some people like to have 2 colors in their string. So the way that you do that is you just have 2 different color spools of string material, and you make one bundle one color and the other bundle the other color. I just make my strings black. Okay. I'm going to wax this up. Okay, so I've got my 2 bundles that are identical with each other, same length. Let me adjust the camera here. I'm going to show you what I do next. Okay, so I've got my 2 bundles, and I'm going to take the ends, and I'm going to make sure that the ends are matched up exactly. And then I'm going to measure 7 inches from the end. I've got a little mark on my string jig, so I don't have to find a ruler, but you know, just right about 7 inches from the last bit there. And that's going to give us the right amount to use to make our loop. And so I start by gripping the two bundles between my thumb and forefinger with just a little hair of space between them. And then, now it shouldn't matter whether you're doing this, like I hold them in my left hand and I twist with my right hand. You know, I used to try to like think really hard about wrapping my mind around what was happening, but really what I've learned is that all that matters is if I do this end, holding them in my left hand and twisting with my right, as long as I do that on the other end, holding it with my left hand and twisting on my right, that the twists are going to be going in the right direction. So don't overthink it. Pick something that feels comfortable for you and do it the exact same way on both sides and you'll be fine. So I've got my 7 inches here. So I'm going to take, I'm going to pinch this top bundle and I'm going to twist it towards me. And then with this finger, between my middle finger and my ring finger, or my middle finger and my index finger, I'm going to grip both. I've got both bundles here. I don't know how well you can see. I'm going to twist those away from me. So I switched them. The one that was on the bottom is now on the top. Now I'm going to twist the top bundle towards me and then both of them away from me. The top bundle towards me and both of them away from me. And I'm going to just keep repeating that. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Towards me, away from me. Towards me, away from me. Towards me, away from me. And it's going to create this tight, consistent twist here. You want to keep pretty firm pressure on the whole thing. You don't want it to feel loose when you're doing it. You want your hands to be holding the strings quite tight. And you may have to play around with it a little bit to get the hang of it. And then you're going to do that until you can make the size of loop that you need for your bow. And with self bows, every bow is a little bit different. The bow that I'm making these for has slightly bigger tips than your average bow. It's a Viking style long bow, and it has these kind of bell-shaped stringing handles on it. So I just need to make sure that my loop is going to be big enough to pass over that and slide down a little bit on the top. So the loop for my top part of my string, I have it be a little bit bigger so that it can slide down when I'm stringing the bow. And I make the loop for the bottom end of my string a little smaller because all it really needs to do is fit over the tip and go into the string groove. And you don't want to have your loop be bigger than you really need it to be. So I'm thinking that that's probably going to be about right for my top tip. I'm going to make it just a little bigger. And that's a pretty big loop, I think, for most bows. But I think it's what I need for mine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is match these ends here of the twist. and that's where I'm going to hold it. And now one strand is going to get bundled up here with the main bundle. One end is going to get bundled up with the main bundle, and the other one is going to get matched with the other one. And then I'm pinching it here right where they meet, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to, the end here and this bundle are going to act as one, and these are going to act as one. And I'm going to use that same technique where I twist away with the top, and then I twist towards me with the top, and then both of them are going to get twisted away. I twist towards me with the top and both, and so now it's making a bigger bundle here, and it's kind of fusing the two together. It's really important to keep this as tight as you can. If it's all loosey-goosey, then you're going to have things kind of slipping around and not being the shape that you want them. And now you can see where the staggered ends comes in. They're all kind of ending at different points, and so as I twist down past the ends, they're all going to get blended in pretty well with the string. They're not going to be hopefully sticking out very much. Every once in a while you get little tags of the ends sticking out. And that's okay, you can trim them off, but if you do it well, there shouldn't be much sticking out. So I'm going to keep this tight twist going all the way past the last longest ends. And that's what the bundle should look like. I'm gonna cut off that long piece that I left when I first tied it onto the jig, and I just use that. I'd tie a little bow right here. Just to keep that twist from unraveling when I do the next step. Like so. Okay, now this next piece is an important step that can be easily overlooked, and it's going to lead to kind of a substandard bow or bowstring if you don't do this next part. So let me kind of adjust the camera here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to take my loop and I'm just going to put it over a nail here so that I've got something that I can pull against. I'm going to separate my bundles here from each other. Try to keep them out of the dirt. So I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I've got the loop there on a nail, and I've got this one bundle here. And so what happened was, when I twisted that end, I introduced twist into the whole bundle, and our end result is that we want the bundles to be as close to neutral, with not twisted one way or the other when we're finished putting the loops in on both ends. So to do that, I have to roll out this twist that I already introduced into the string to get it back to neutral. But then I'm gonna keep twisting it so that it's twisted up a little bit the other direction, because when I make the loop here on the other end, it's going to twist this back hopefully right about to neutral. And the reason for this is that we want the two bundles to kind of mesh together. and blend into one solid string. And when there's a lot of twist already in each bundle, they don't like to mesh with each other. They keep separate from each other, and just doesn't make for as nice a string. So I've untwisted what was in it. I got to neutral, and then I went past in the other direction, twisted it up some in both bundles. And so now I'm ready to do the exact same technique on the other end. So I can take this off now if I need to. Get out my ruler. Make sure the tips are matched and measure the 7 inches. And so my other loop was the top loop. So this loop is not going to be quite as big. It just needs to be able to fit over that end and slide down into the groove. So I'm doing my same technique, twisting towards, both of them away, top one towards, both of them away, keeping it nice and tight. Checking my loop, still pretty small. So this will be good for my bottom loop. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing. I match up the ends with a bundle, pinch it right here where they meet, and then twist it all together. Down past the longest ends. And now I've got my two loops, and the last step is to twist up the string. So I like to put it back on a nail, something that's going to hold it secure, and I want to go take each bundle and kind of, it gets more twisted up on usually on one end. I kind of want to balance out where all the twist is, so that when I do the final twist up of the string to tighten it up, that the bundles will bind with each other. And so you'll be able to see, you'll look at the twist that you already did, and you're just gonna, you'll see what makes it tighter and what makes it looser. And so right now I'm just gonna twist to tighten it up, and introduce some twist into the whole length of the string. And if you've got something solid you can pull against, you can really pull it tight and get all the play out of it. And you're going to have to put it on the bow to see exactly, how much to twist it up. And at this point I can take off that little bow that I tied on there, there's no danger of that coming off. So even though this material doesn't have any stretch to it, there's going to be a little bit of initial stretching that happens just as the all of the loops and twists kind of settle in. Well, you'd think it wouldn't be so hard to untie a bow here. So if I'm a top loop here, put that over, slide it down, and then slip that bottom loop into place. And usually the top loop is going to be about 3 to 3.5 inches away from the knock. So I can see right now, if I string this up, that it's going to be too long. So I need to twist some more, twist the string to more to make it shorter. And that's one of the nice things about the Flemish twist strings, is that you can adjust the length of the string a little bit to change the brace height just by twisting it tighter. So let's string this up and see how it's looking. So the brace height's still pretty low. Got to introduce a little bit more twist. And you may find that you have to play around with this a little bit with a new string until you get it settled just like you want it. There we go. Easy as that. So I hope that was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions. It's one of those things that can seem complicated at first, but once you've done it a couple times, you really realize how simple it is. And it's so much more cost effective to make your own strings than to buy pre-made strings, and you have a lot more control over, you know, the size of the loops and the quality of the string and the length of the string and all that. You can get it just like you want it to be. And I will do another short video on how to serve a string to go with this one as well. There you go. Thanks for watching.